Sega was no doubt a publisher that was rocking it for the 6th generation. While they kicked it off with the Dreamcast, which sadly failed and forced Sega out of the console market, they still stood tall by publishing a vast amount of games for the other consoles available for this generation. Sega and the team over at AM2 looked to bring a new Virtua-style sport to the GameCube, this time in the form of volleyball with Beach Spikers. Produced by Yu Suzuki, does Beach Spikers do for volleyball what Virtua Tennis did for the tennis games? Or is it best to just eat sand? Let's find out.
Beach Spikers! Virtua Beach Volleyball.
I just want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Goodiez. So Goodiez is a gaming app where you can go ahead, buy, sell, and trade in games all through the app itself. If you're looking for certain retro games, you can go ahead and type those in the search bar in the buying section. But what makes it unique is if there's a certain game you're looking for, but there's a certain price point you're looking to pay up for, you can actually put an offer out there and sellers will see that and throw the offer back at you to see if you're interested in moving forward. Additionally, you can also choose the type of condition you are looking for, whether it's a loose copy or a complete in-box copy. Heck, even brand new copies. The other thing is the trade-in feature, like I mentioned, which is a great way to get rid of a variety of games that you no longer want in your collection. And what's nice is that the Goodiez app actually offers upwards of 70% of price charting values. So you're gonna get a pretty solid deal when you get rid of the games through them. It's a great way to get rid of some games quickly out of your collection and put that credit toward other games, whether other retro games or even upcoming games for current gen consoles. I will leave a link in the description down below for the Goodiez app for both iOS and Android for you to check out. Thank you again to Goodiez for sponsoring today's video. Back to the rest of the episode. Beach Spikers is an arcade-style volleyball game at its heart. Taking the pick-up-and-play simplicity of Virtua Tennis, Beach Spikers is all about bumping, setting, and spiking your way to victory facing off against numerous teams from various nations. There are 4 modes of play here: Arcade, World Tour, Versus Mode, and Tutorial. First is Tutorial, which I do recommend all players tackle initially. Here you will learn the ins and outs of the controls and mechanics, and while it is a simple game to grasp, learning certain tactics through this may better assist you throughout your time. It'll cover what you need to learn, but you can also complete 5 challenges per mechanic. And good luck with the last one in regards to blocking. This one is pretty tough. But if you complete the tutorial challenges entirely, you'll unlock more outfits for the custom characters. Speaking of which, let's dive into the World Tour mode, which is the game's core mode you'll spend time with. Here you will create your own team of 2 female volleyball players, your main character that you control, and your AI controlled partner. The customization here is fairly extensive, providing you with a variety of facial designs, hairstyles, accessories like hats and sunglasses, and uniforms. The more you play through the game, the more customization items you'll unlock as well. Furthermore, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you enter the following names for a character, you will unlock themed customization features from other Sega games like Daytona USA, Virtua Cop, and Phantasy Star, to name a few. Once you've created your own team and named your 2 players, you'll be brought to this centralized menu where you can tackle the next match, save or load your game, etc. But you'll notice that your partner has stats on the right side of the screen. So the World Tour mode has essentially an RPG leveling system in place here, but more on that in a bit. World Tour has you partaking in 8 stages, each in a tournament-style bracket. On the court, it's 2v2 the whole time, where you will work with your partner setting up the ball to try and spike over the net. The controls are as pick up and play as it gets. You'll use the analog stick for movement, the A button to set the ball, the B button to bump the ball, and pressing both A and B provides a more aggressive hit. You can also just resort to using the X button for this action if that's easier. When the ball is on your side, you'll see indicators showing where it'll land, and lining it up perfect in there and tossing the ball back and forth with your partner will typically determine the maximum power allowed to let you spike the ball. When spiking the ball, the power meter will appear, and timing your press to the highest point is key. You can choose whether to hit any of the buttons as well for this, which all affect the type of spike you'll do. If the ball was received in an awkward angle or not timed right, the maximum power of the hit may be a lot lower than wanted. Furthermore, the sloppier the reception, the more probable the ball will barely even go airborne, resorting to losing a point most of the time unless you can just barely save it. Serving the ball also resorts to the power meter, and again, depending on the button you press, will change the serve. Pressing the A button will provide an overhand serve, while the B button will provide an underhand serve. pressing the A and B button simultaneously, or even just using the X button in replacement of this, will provide a more powerful jump serve that's best used if you can guarantee yourself over 90 for the power hit. More so if you can hit that max power. This usually results in somewhat stunning the receiver as well. Lastly, you can try to block the ball by lining up in front of your opponent that's about to spike the ball and pressing any button. Trying to line up your position with the 2-player indicators below is key to increasing your chances with succeeding in this. Now, during the World Tour matches, every 10 points will result in a moment where you can converse with your partner for teamwork. Here you can choose one of 4 options: praise, encourage, reprimand, or do nothing. Knowing which to select is based on how the current match is going, and selecting the wrong one could negatively impact the teamwork percentage. If you're winning the match by more than 3 points, selecting praise should increase your teamwork percentage. If the match is really tight, selecting encourage will help increase your teamwork percentage here. If you're losing by a good amount though, reprimanding your teammate will actually shockingly improve your teamwork. And if you're actually unsure which to choose, well, that's why you have the do nothing option, so it doesn't affect the percentage at all. Instead, you'll just watch them sit there awkwardly not knowing what to say to each other. You want the teamwork score as close to 100% as possible, and making the wrong decision that'll deduct the percentage can lead to a harder time working with your partner in that match. I actually love this risk and reward system, and it really does add another layer of team building to the World Tour mode. Upon a match ending, depending on whether or not you won and how your teamwork went, you will obtain points to allocate to your partner. There are several fields here like serve, receive, attack, block, toss, power, and response. Each can be upgraded up to level 20. Now, it will take more than one full World Tour run to fully max out your partner, but when you do, you will be unstoppable. However, in the beginning, be ready to get quite frustrated with your partner as they're borderline brain dead. Here's a pro tip. Upon starting, make sure you focus primarily on response and add a point here and there for power. Response is literally the partner's AI and actually trying to help, and the power is a nice balance of the other stats you're trying to upgrade. Now, you're going to lose a lot of matches at first, and that's okay. It's all about taking those stat points at the end of a match to continue building towards greatness. The overall gameplay mechanics in Beach Spikers is really engaging and downright fun. Even despite the frustrations of the World Tour mode initially, it only gets better as you play, and honestly it becomes very hard to put the game down afterwards. The constant tossing the ball back and forth, leading to some intense exchanges between the teams, and getting that opportunity to spike the ball past your opponent or even directly in their face is very satisfying. The courts you'll play on are also really neat. While many are product placement courts, like the Nissan Court, Coca-Cola Court, and Holiday Inn Court, there are ones I love to replay matches on, like the Sega Court that has a massive Sonic the Hedgehog in the backdrop, or the Nintendo Court, which has a bunch of massive GameCube consoles in the background of the court. Now, aside from the World Tour, I mentioned there was also the arcade mode and versus mode. Arcade mode is just your pick up and play mode where you face off against a variety of teams. Within the options menu, you can change the arcade mode to have either arcade rules or original rules. Arcade rules has every team have their own rank, so certain teams will be more challenging than others. Original rules makes every team a little bit more balanced essentially. Additionally, you can also play with your custom team from World Tour, and your partner's stats will transfer here as well. Then there's the versus mode, which allows for 4 modes within, all of which can either be played in single player or with up to 4 players. There's Beach Spikers, Beach Flags, Beach Countdown, and Beach PK. Beach Spikers is just a traditional game itself, and you can set some custom variables, which player is positioned where, and which court you'll play on. Beach Flags is a mini game where all 4 players put their heads down in the sand, and when it's go time, needs to rapidly sprint to the flag and dive to get it. There are 2 rounds, one with up to 2 flags players can get, and then down to 1 flag for the next and final round. This mode is so simple yet an absolute blast in multiplayer. Then there's Beach Countdown, where the ball has a set point value that decreases with each hit. Each hit type will deduct a certain value, and the team to hit the ball the moment it hits 0 will explode off the court and lose. This is like an elevated form of hot potato, and is another mode that became an absolute favorite for multiplayer sessions amongst my friends. Lastly is Beach PK, which is basically the penalty kick version of volleyball. Each player will alternate their turn to be served the ball to spike and try to get past the opponent that's defending their side. Ultimately, Beach Spikers not only stands tall as a multiplayer game with its core mode, but the mini games here are absolutely fantastic. Now, Beach Spikers does have a few aspects to point out that I wasn't as fond of. First off, the brain-dead AI at the start of the World Tour. Yes, we already talked about this, but I still think it's something that will deter players initially. Here I am praising the game, and I've already mentioned this, but I could still see new players jumping in, playing that mode and going, well, maybe this is not worth the effort, but I promise you, get a few matches in, it'll be worth it. I just know that initially, it's not the most inviting start to the World Tour mode. Next, the blocking mechanics. The blocking mechanic in this game never feels guaranteed to pull off, but rather feels like an absolute luck of the draw. I ended up rarely using this as I felt more in control of waiting for the ball to be spiked and knowing I had a chance to deflect it myself. And the last thing I want to mention is a minor one, but while I love the idea of unlocking more uniforms and customization features, I wish you could tweak those changes to your team at any time rather than having to start a new file to create a new team using those new uniforms. Heck, even if at least just for the arcade and versus mode to be able to still do the customization there. Outside of these though, there's not much else from a gameplay perspective that I found negative. Visually, Beach Spikers is a very rich and vibrant looking game. The character models are well detailed with great animations while the environments received equal detail. The real standout is the sand deformation, and with the tech on hand here, it's very impressive. Running through the sand, you'll see the sand deform throughout the match, which really livens up the experience. But even back to the character animations, everything looks so smooth while running at a buttery smooth 60 frames per second locked. There is not one frame drop that happens no matter how much is happening on screen. Little details also like doing a max serve to an opponent to see the receiving end take the hit, hunch over and slide back, showing the power of that serve is a really cool animation to see in action. The courts themselves are nice enough that you wish you can actually just walk around freely and explore what's around the court itself. I really can't state enough how visually appealing Beach Spikers is. In terms of audio, here is the weakest component of Beach Spikers, but it's not necessarily bad by any means actually. The music that's here matches the theme very well, with upbeat tunes that accompany the gameplay. While it's not as high-end as Virtua Tennis's music, what's here does the job enough. There was one particular song I typically used when playing this game in Versus mode, which was BGM 7, since you can select your song in the Versus mode, and a few others are fine, but some are forgettable. However, the main issue is the game's really awkward announcer. He sounds both energetic and bored at the same time. I can't quite explain it. Something I found jarring is that each mode you start up, there's a screen that pops up where he says,
"Thank you! Enjoy the game!"
Does this need to be said every single time I start a game mode? It feels completely out of place too. Then when he announces the teams playing at the one and only loading screen in the game, it sounds like two separate voice clips in two different tones.
Next game is England versus USA. Losers will be ranked 13th place.
Then there's the team exchange in the World Tour, where you can barely hear the girls talk because the music is completely overpowering the moment here.
You can do better. You can.
On the flip side, the sound effects are excellent and do a great job capturing the feel of hitting the volleyball itself. Even the girls' reactions to hitting the ball sound impactful, and the menu effects are solid. Overall, the audio here is still very good, just a few odd choices with the announcer himself, and the audio balancing for the team exchanges being a little bit off.
Fantastic! Great!
Yeah!
Fantastic! Great! Fantastic! Replay.
Beach Spikers is by far one of the best sports titles available for the Nintendo GameCube. The game is easy for pick up and play sessions, the World Tour mode and leveling up your partner becomes addictive, the variety of modes overall are awesome, the visuals are excellent, and it really is a multiplayer essential for the console. If you've never played Beach Spikers, I cannot recommend it enough to have it in the collection. And with the start of summer here now, again, it's the perfect summer game. Additionally, shout out to my GCG Nation enthusiasts, Local S'mores Pop-Tart, Retro Wolf Alejandro Mendoza, Julio Cesar Garcia Zamora 34, and Daniel Herrera. for further supporting the channel. If you really enjoy the content and are interested in further supporting the channel, click that join button, and for $2 a month, you'll get early access to videos, membership shoutouts and videos, and exclusive icons that I made that go next to your username when commenting. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next episode, GCG Nation.